Good morning, it's March 12th, and this is To My Liberal Friends. Well, yesterday the House of Representatives passed a continuing resolution to fund the government through the end of fiscal year 2025, which ends in September. The bill was passed on basically a party line with one Republican, Thomas Massey from Kentucky, voting no, and one Democrat, Jared Golden of Maine, voting yes. Golden, who is a moderate Democrat, comes from a district that Trump won in November, and explained his vote by saying, quote, "This CR is not perfect, but a shutdown would be worse," quote, end quote. Even a brief shutdown would introduce even more chaos and uncertainty at a time when our country can ill afford it. So that's according to Jared Golden. And he's absolutely correct in his analysis. We're at a point in time where shutting down the government does not solve any real problems. Most people who watched the process play out gave the credit to President Trump for marshaling the Republican caucus to get the necessary votes. He was on the phone whipping votes. Now the bill will head to the Senate and has to be passed by Friday or there will be a partial government shutdown. Democrats are now on the clock, as they say at the NFL draft. The CR is a piece of legislation that can be filibustered under Rule 22. Remember, these are the same Democrats who told us over and over that the filibuster rule should be abolished. They were wrong because the rule helps force negotiation and compromise, but it shows their hypocrisy when they use the rule now that they're in the minority. What will happen is that Majority Leader John Thune will bring the bill to the floor of the Senate and ask for unanimous consent to debate the bill, put limits on how long the debate will last, set the procedure on proposed amendments and how long they will be debated, and then vote on final passage. If a single senator objects, there's no time agreement, and the Senate is then under the rule and it will require 60 votes to break the filibuster and pass the CR and keep the government open and running. In the past, when we've had government shutdowns, it's been the Republicans that got the blame in the media and by default the voters. But I suspect that Minority Leader Chuck Schumer may see the math a bit different this time. There are 53 Republicans in the Senate, and 52 of them will vote to pass the CR. Senator Rand Paul, Republican of Kentucky, has voiced his opposition to any CR, as he has regularly, and will vote no. That means Schumer has to muster 8 Democrats to vote yes, or the bill will fail if there's an objection to unanimous consent. In this instance, it will be the Democrats that are voting to shut down the government. Schumer will have to decide if he can roll the dice and take the risk of getting the blame. He knows without a doubt that Donald Trump will be up on both social media and in the mainstream media blaming the Democrats. And Democrats, for their part, will try to demonize the bill and make a lot of claims. Most of them will be false, but designed to scare voters. We've already seen their signs at the Trump speech and heard them claim that the CR cuts benefits to veterans. Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader in the House, slammed the CR, claiming it cut funds for health care, nutritional assistance, read that, food stamps, and veterans benefits. Well, let's take a look at the veteran benefits in the bill. What it does cut is $800 million from Veterans Affairs facility construction, but it does not include $22 billion in advance funding for the Toxic Exposure Fund. But it does include $6 billion in mandatory funds to address immediate funding shortfalls in that program. The truth is, there are no cuts to CR and veteran benefits, just some reprogramming of funds, and the Congress can now move on to address the totality of veterans benefits in fiscal year 26 funding bills. Even Representative Gold said, quote, "To say it contains cuts to veterans is at best a misreading that creates unnecessary fear among veterans." He understands what's going on. Being honest, I don't like having to use continuing resolutions to fund the government. If you don't fully understand what they are, they simply fund the government programs at last year's funding levels. Congress needs to start getting back to regular order and passing all of the individual appropriations bills and do them in a timely manner. This is where any cuts to government spending should occur, and Republicans need to start backing up what they campaigned on in November and reduce spending. There's one other little issue in the debate among Democrats about whether to provide the votes in the Senate to pass CR. In the past, when the government was shut down, the federal employees who could not work were given their full back pay once the funding was restored. I would not make this a certainty under Donald Trump. That would mean any salary that federal bureaucrats miss would be blamed on Democrats for failing to provide the votes. Be an interesting dynamic in this debate on the Senate floor, and I think some will bring the back pay issue up. So I would tell all listeners to watch what's going on among Senate Democrats. I believe they're going to cave in the end. Senator John Fetterman has already announced he will vote to keep the government open. Senator Mark Kelly from Arizona made statements that sound like he would vote to keep the government open. It's a situation that Democrats have not found themselves in before, and the political calculus has shifted. And the more prudent ones in the Democratic Party are starting to realize they're in the minority and simply objecting to everything is not going to help them win votes in future elections. One final thought today, though. The inflation rate dropped in February to 2.8%, and that was lower than expected, and that could presage a move by the Federal Reserve to finally start cutting interest rates. Wouldn't that be a great thing for the economy? This has been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening.